The political situation in Northern Ireland has reached another crisis point, with the parties having failed to reach an agreement to restore the power-sharing government instalment. But what does that actually mean for the future of power-sharing in Northern Ireland? And so thanks for your opinions there. But joining me now is the former Labour MP and independent peer, Baroness Kate Hoey. Thank you, Kate, so much for joining us today. Now, we've got Jeffrey Donaldson, who's the leader of the DUP, saying that he is not budging on the question of protocol. What is it going to take to break this deadlock, do you think? I mean, presumably, the election is a waste of time, really.
Yes, the election isn't going to solve anything. It will bring about more or less the same results, with the hardening of probably votes, more votes for the DUP and more votes for Sinn Féin on the other side, and some of the smaller parties being squeezed. Nothing will change about devolution until the protocol is sorted. I mean, the protocol, it's a bit like saying the people of Cornwall, you're going to be separated out from the rest of your country. You're going to have checks on anything that comes in, goods coming in with little masses of paperwork, extra costs, so that business actually says we're not sending it anymore to Northern Ireland. And that has meant a complete diversion of trade. And of course, the protocol, standing up against the protocol, was a mandate that the DUP had in the last election. And it's interesting because, of course, I'm sure viewers and listeners will remember that Sinn Féin brought the Assembly down for 3 years and there was no election. And the UK government didn't go and badger Sinn Féin every minute, whereas in the last week, the Secretary of State, I think probably not quite understanding the psyche of people in Northern Ireland, has spent his time, threatening, badgering, cajoling, and it isn't going to work, because until the protocol is sorted, and I would say to the Secretary of State today and to the Minister of State, just go back and start getting real negotiations with the EU. They're not going to work, in my view, because the EU hasn't changed even its negotiating mandate. And then make sure that the protocol bill, which was designed by Liz Truss, but which had gone through the House of Commons and is now in the Lords, is pushed through so that we can take those independent decisions and not wait for the EU, because if we wait for the EU, we'll be here in another 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, do you put any store at all by the fact that at the moment James Cleverly, who is the Foreign Secretary, and indeed the EU negotiator Markus Sefcovic, I think he is, that they are actually in discussions? Do you have any faith at all in anything that they are likely to come up with?
Well, we haven't really seen any real negotiations. What we've seen is what they call technical discussions. And that's all about, trying to slightly make, maybe instead of 20 forms to fill in when you're a business in Britain moving to Northern Ireland, you only have to fill in 5, or perhaps every other lorry won't be checked, and all of that kind of thing. That doesn't change the fundamental constitutional position that Northern Ireland has been separated out, that we're still, as far as Northern Ireland are concerned now, Great Britain is a third country. It's a foreign country, and we are subject to EU rules and EU laws. And yet we had the same ballot paper. Yes, of course, there was a majority in Northern Ireland to stay in the European Union, as there was in Scotland, but it was a United Kingdom vote. We had the same ballot paper saying, do you wish to leave? And the United Kingdom voted to leave. We have not. We have been left in this kind of colony situation where we're half in and half out of our own country. And that makes people very, very angry. And I don't think the government, and Rishi Sunak, really needs to get a grip of this. I know there's all these other important issues on energy and cost of living. But, if he believes in the union of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, if he believes in the union generally, then the stability in Northern Ireland is absolutely crucial. And we will not get that stability. We will not get devolution back until the protocol is sorted. Yep. And, the Irish government has to be pressurised into realising that they have played along with the European Union. They have made the European Union even more keen to punish the United Kingdom for leaving. And it just is not acceptable to people in Northern Ireland.
No, and in fact, it's doing, as you say, huge damage to trade in Northern Ireland and to business in general. Very, very briefly, Kate, can I just ask you this? You're quoted as saying that you think that having this border between Britain and Northern Ireland is effectively an indictment on the government and a threat to peace and stability. Very briefly, do you think that actually it is going to lead to a breakdown in peace and stability?
Well, everything everyone has said is about supporting the Belfast Agreement. The Belfast Agreement, as Lord Trimble himself said, who helped write it, was fractured by the protocol. The Belfast Agreement is all about consent, and that has been broken. People of Northern Ireland have not a single unionist politician supports the protocol. So, obviously, many people have been doing so much to keep people, young people in particular, off the streets. But, you know, the government has to realise that it's going to be a very difficult situation if there's another election, and it's going to be an even more difficult situation if the protocol isn't sorted.
Baroness Kate Hoey, thank you very much indeed for that.